Everybody, welcome back to Author Eke. Today we have George Mehok. He has written a fabulous book that I'm kind of digging because it's a dual timeline, Revolutionary War time frame, current things are going on. He's a very astute individual with current events and technology. So this is going to be good. We're both kind of history nerds to some extent. So George, take away, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on. This is great. I always like talking with you and just having a great discussion about history, military, and so forth. So, again, my name's George Mehok. I'm an author, a technologist, and an entrepreneur. And about 6 years ago, I started down the journey of a passion project, and that was to write a novel. And it's real,
It's
going dark.
good.
It's going dark. So,
It's
so
good. It's going
yeah. So
good.
it's good. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised at myself, but you know how it is being an author. You always question your writing until you have people who read it that other than close family, they'll
Yep.
tell you
Yep.
it's great, but hearing from people like yourself that it's quality is real humbling.
Yeah, folks, I got a copy so early it was on a file. So it got a form other than I believe a PDF. Well, very good, and I definitely highly advise everybody to read it. It's a great book. You'll learn things you didn't know, even though you may be a person that is interested in history and how they kind of intertwine today. So tell us about the book.
Sure. So the book, like you said, is a dual timeline. So there's two timelines. I'll start with the present timeline. The present timeline, the hero is Paul Knox. So Paul is a cyber forensics expert. So a cyber guy that scours the deep web. So those are the websites and so forth that you can't access through Google. And that's where all the bad things happen, whether it be illicit drugs, weapons, and so forth. So he is an ex-Air Force comms officer, and he is thrown into a plot and inadvertently stumbles on it in the dark web, a plot to basically bring down America. The plot is hatched by the next version of Osama bin Laden's gang, ISIS.
Okay.
And they have been embedded in the United States since 9/11. And Paul Knox was he joined the Air Force right after 9/11. So he has this in him, in his personality of understanding what it means to be attacked. Right. So,
Okay.
the terrible things that happened during 9/11, he really gets it because he lived it. He was in college. He was at MIT during that time frame. And so fast forward to the present day, the terrorist attack, and Paul has to figure out who's behind the plot. But more importantly, his daughter, his only daughter, Emma, is key to it because she's a brilliant MIT computer scientist, and she's been working on new technology that could spoil the terrorists and ISIS's plot to bring down the power grid and much more. So that's the present day.
That's it's all believable. It's 100% believable. I mean, think about it. I mean, the sleeper cells and the way they embed themselves, in universities and, well, technology companies, they definitely can do that. And the dark web does exist. It is very sinister. You can get whatever you want on there. It's very shady is not even a good word, I guess.
Sure. And I'm a technologist, so my company we develop software, and I know you are too. So we develop software for companies, and I was a chief information officer for 15 years, protecting data centers from cybersecurity attacks and so
Mm,
forth. So I imagined what could happen, and like you said, it's real stuff.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Our enemies, whether it be state actors or non-state actors, are trying to find a way to hack into our key core infrastructure. So this book is really based on what is possible in reality. So I'm hoping that the right people in the government or maybe the power companies pick it up and they're working on it, but this is real. This is real
Slow.
stuff. So we have to prepare.
Yeah, I mean, look at well, just a couple weeks ago, I guess. Somebody from the DoD gave some information away to the Iranians based on our intelligence of Israel. So how and these people have top secret SBIs, compartmentalized. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. So who says that they couldn't allow somebody into the network that nobody would know was even in there
Hmm,
because they're using credentials that are real and
that's
they're not
right.
doing anything crazy. You put things in firmware, you put all sorts of different code in there that looks like it's right. It just takes one bit to flip it.
That's right.
And
Well, and the what I always was concerned about, and this is true in cybersecurity, just the profession. It's the insider that's the real threat,
yes,
right? So it's like you said, those people who have access to our systems that give that access to, a bad actor,
hmm
and those bad actors, whether it be China, Russia, you name the country, they know that. So they're flipping those people, right? So they're going on social media, they're finding people that can be either bribed or extorted, and they're getting those passwords. That's
yeah,
scary stuff. It's real.
yeah, yeah. They're coming in like they're coming in from the inside, the way they can manipulate the network through VPNs and all sorts of things. It is scary. And folks, that's not even about phishing attacks or any of the other crap. This is more sophisticated. This is manipulation of code.
That's right. So that's the plot line. We even talked about
Yeah,
some things that happen in the book
yeah,
just now, and
yeah.
and that's the current story. Paul has to figure out using his not just technical but his Air Force training. He's an expert marksman, and so the book has some real world weaponry concepts, and it's action, right? It's supposed to be entertaining, so it just the pace is fast,
Right.
and so Paul has to find the bad guy and protect his daughter. But here's the twist. So the twist is Paul is a late descendant of a group called the Liberty Unit, which was founded during the American Revolutionary War. So hence the historic aspect of this book is the origin story of the Liberty Unit. And this group was formed in 1781 by George Washington's right-hand man, one of them, General Henry Knox. And these are real people. I'm a
Oh,
student
Henry
of
Knox. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
a student of
definitely.
history. So Henry Knox was so he was a Boston bookseller. He then became George Washington's master of artillery. He went and retrieved the guns, the cannon, the howitzers from Fort Ticonderoga when he was 25 years old. This is all
Mhm. Hold on a
Did I
second,
lose you? Yep.
George. Some reason says that your recording is stopped
No. I think we're back.
due to an incoming call. Okay. All right, good. I'll cut this part out.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so Henry Knox. So it goes back to Henry Knox being one of George Washington's lieutenants,
hmm
and he founds this group called the Liberty Unit in
Yep.
order to protect George Washington, and that's the second part of the book, and that is intertwined throughout the plot.
I love that too. And you can put. I mean, like you're not talking like a decade. You're talking 200, 200 and some years ago for
250
some
years ago.
timeline, right? And
That's
that's
right.
that's what's good, and be able to intertwine it into a story that's present day. Right when you write, it's basically the part of the book is historical fiction.
That's right. That's right. Historical fiction is, and I did my best to respect the founding fathers and the real people that founded this country. So there are characters such as Thomas Jefferson, Daniel Boone, who was actually a Virginia councilman at the time of in
Yep.
1781. I talked about General Henry Knox, George Washington, and there are others that are in the story. So I did deep research on all of them to include as content and storylines that were as real as possible. Again, respecting those.
No, I agree. You have to do that. And if the people are bad, you put them as bad. If they're good folks, they're good folks, right? That's the critical part of it. But
That's
I
right.
like that. I like how you did that because by reading books like this, people get a view of history that may not know, and say, that's interesting. Let me go look at it up. Let me go find something else that's kind of crazy about the Revolutionary War
That's right.
or any other time and how it took. Right? We were going to Virginia a couple weeks ago. And see our son, we were driving and go through Tennessee, and it says, home of Davy Crockett. And my wife was
Yeah.
like, he fought at the Alamo. She was like, how long did it take him to go from Tennessee, to San
Texas.
Antonio? Right? This was
Yeah.
not like I'm gonna hop on. This is something, and along the way, it was not an easy trek. Everything was going on back then, So but I do like the history thing. So, what what sparked you to write a book? What was like, and you told somebody, then you had to finish?
First of all, I love reading. And I love learning. I set a goal 10, 15 years ago that I want to write something. Am I going to publish a book? I have no idea, but I thought, put it on my bucket list to write a book. And the opportunity came up just before COVID where I had this idea. It sparked.
Mm-hmm.
I had a real spark. So I was
Yep.
reading at the time. I read all the biographies of all the founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was heavy into thrillers. I've always been a fan of Tom Clancy, Greg Hurwitz,
Oh yeah.
Steve Barry. So I had this idea where what if there was this clandestine group that was founded during the Revolutionary War that's lived throughout our American history? And then I have to combine my technology experience because
Mm-hmm.
I'm really worried about the threats to our country.
Well, that's why I won't buy a refrigerator hooked up to the internet or,
Yeah, that's right.
but I mean, holy smack. I mean, because I wrote a book recently. I'm going to republish it under my imprint here
Okay.
probably early next year. But it talks about, uh, the way that we coordinate with China, for example, for the clean energy grid, right? And
Oh
we come
yeah.
up with all these agreements where they're writing the code into the hardware, into the devices that everything has to go through security checks when all this stuff. But what if they're in the beginning when they first created the code, they already put it in there,
That's right.
right?
That's right. They
And it
embedded it.
passed. Yeah,
They embedded it.
yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's real. It's actually very real because we found it. The NSA and others have found embedded in Cisco devices and others.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what about here? So let's say I have an electric car, whoever electric car, I don't care, and I charge it. And my charge is 350 miles. But then again, maybe China and us become, what's called, competitors. Well, we're not. We're
Mhm.
adversaries. I don't care who it is. That, you know what? In this zip code or in these grid coordinates is Los Angeles, California. I don't care if your car is 100% charged. You cannot drive Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh yeah,
The other days, you can only go to a certain limit within your geographical area, and the car's going to shut off. I mean, that's
absolutely.
all programmable.
Absolutely.
Every bit of it.
And
Or
remotely
refrigerator.
and remotely accessed to your
Yeah,
point, right? They can do
yeah,
it from wherever. And it could be our government. It could be the state government and it could be a foreign actor, right?
yeah. Like look at a lot. So there's like 4 or 5, I believe, large slaughterhouses that produce meat and pork and all this stuff, and some are owned by Chinese companies, right, through American companies.
Hmm.
They own a lot of farmland. Let's say all these refrigerators get hooked up to the internet, and I go look at my refrigerator. Goes, man, it's plenty cold. It's 39, 40 degrees. Woo-hoo. I go to bed. Not really. Inside it's like 60, right?
Yeah,
So then
that's right.
I gotta buy more food,
That's right.
and I gotta buy food from them because they own the companies. I mean, not that I'm a conspiracy theorist or a wacko, but
I don't
holy
think it's
smokes.
that anymore. I kind of feel like in some cases I talk like, when I tell my story about, ISIS being embedded in the United States and they've been here since nine
Well, I
eleven.
bet they are.
And they're creating this network and they're just waiting, right? So they've now graduated to using these technologies.
Hmm.
Hold myself back saying, you sound like a conspiracy
Yeah,
theorist.
yeah,
But then I say, no, this is real.
yeah,
And so we may as well prepare for it, be ready for it.
yeah,
I think that's more important than worrying about, am I conspiracy theorist? No, because it's happening today.
yeah. They may live in a cave, but they have the education from MIT, Stanford, all these, because, come on in, take an education from us.
Well, I won't give too much away in my book, but the bad guy, his name's Hassan. He and his brother, they are smuggled in by not only the Mexican cartel, but the mafia then helps them get to where they need to be. And they get counterfeit student visas, so they then enter one of the best universities in the country, and they learn from the best professors on how to hack,
Yeah,
right? And it's real.
yeah. I mean, some of the security certifications require you to do ethical hacking, right?
Yeah.
So you have to know how they teach you how to hack, but it's
Hmm.
ethically, but heck, who knows, But yeah, I find it fascinating that we're going so quickly down an alley of connectivity. I
Hmm.
mean, I've been in
We're
technology
vulnerable,
I've been in technology for the last 30 years,
right?
right? So I've seen it, how the evolution of it, and it all went from mainframe and a terminal, then it went to servers in a building, then went to the cloud. Everything's in the cloud, but the cloud that's just a term, folks. Their servers are somewhere physically located, right?
And
Then
there's
there's
data
oh
centers.
no, we got to have a private cloud, so we need to bring everything back in house. So we have the servers here, but everybody can connect to it. I mean, and then you look at the DoD just signed a billions of dollar contract with, I think it was Microsoft or somebody for cloud. Everything, everybody's connected. You know, wait till they, you know. In one book I have Cobalt that I wrote. I mean that
Oh, that's right.
the power of the Chinese to be able to put together real time data from vehicles, camera live feed,
Hmm.
to imagery, to AI for battle predictability, where their tanks basically become, hey, you know what? We're going to move. We already have the battlefield, everything in it for all our intelligence.
Hmm.
Guess what? We became combat ineffective. And all of the tanks talk together in a mesh.
Hmm.
They fire. I mean, I don't think that's far off.
No,
To be
well,
honest
what
with
we're
you.
seeing, what I find amazing, the drone technology
Yes.
and how with the Ukraine war and with the you know, Israeli war and what they're doing with Iran and Hezbollah. Drones are every month there's becoming more and more sophisticated, whether they be drones that are being used by the troops on the ground or the aerial drones that are being fired from hundreds, if not 1,000 miles away. I think that's changing the way tacticians have to think,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's all in real time. I mean, we've been working on it for a long time. Obviously we're ahead of it, during the early Iraq, Afghanistan wars, but now it's those that couldn't afford them can afford them now.
Oh yeah.
And so
Go
the
to Best Buy
next,
and buy one.
what do you think? Do you think? Have you seen what Elon Musk is doing with the autonomous robots and how?
I have been kind of checking out because I think, I forgot who said it, but the processor goes through an evolution every 8 years or something where
Hmm.
that's like drone
It
technology.
doubles, yeah, yeah.
It doubles and doubles with the technology. Now you put a totally autonomous robot linked to a drone that's linked to a satellite, and you get almost, like, I call it 4D
Wow.
imaging,
Yep. I know. It's yeah, the world's changing, and I wrote an article recently and how fiction portrays the future,
Oh yeah.
right? And drone technology, Tom Clancy was writing about it, 20 years ago, and now, what we're writing about is
Oh yeah.
so, the imagination with AI and so forth. I wrote my book, I started writing it 6 years ago. And it includes the Israeli Arab conflict back 6 years ago. Because, we all were, it
Oh
was,
yeah.
it was pretty obvious it was going to happen, but how it was going to happen. So in Going Dark, in my book, I tried to, I won't claim that I'm even close to him, but Tom Clancy in Red Storm Rising did a
Hmm.
great job of describing what could happen with Russia and in World War III, tanks on the ground and so forth. So I kind of reimagined that in the modern day with drones and with Egypt coming into the play and so forth. So, hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, all these geopolitical relationships forged out of necessity. Um, basically. But you're self-published, right? So you self-published your
It's
book, or
hybrid. It's
hybrid?
hybrid.
Okay, okay,
Hybrid through Atmosphere Press. They're
okay.
an amazing group. I had an amazing editor, and Dawn Isis. She was my full-time editor over about a 5-year period. She really helped me craft the the characters, the plot, and
Yep.
also there's a technique for thriller writing, as you know, and I try to apply that. And then the artists that Atmosphere has, the cover artists and so forth, they're incredible. So yeah, I
It's a
feel
beautiful
like
cover.
it was the right way to go.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful cover. I mean,
Thank
there's
you.
no doubt
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
here,
Show everybody
this right
again.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So and then this is a 1773 King George III guinea, and it links the past to the present, as you know.
ah.
So the past to the present. Thomas Jefferson. I won't give anything away, but Thomas Jefferson gives the coin to, in the past, the hero in the past. His name's Jack Jewett. He's a militia captain, and it gives him safe passage through enemy territory. The coin does. It is the symbol of being a patriot and connected to the founding fathers. So he was able to use that coin to get out of some pretty tricky situations.
I
And
wish
then
I had
that
one of those.
I know you need one, and so that coin goes all the way into the future. And Paul Knox has the same. He's given that coin from his father in the present day, so it ties the two stories together, and that's why it's on the front of the cover.
Awesome. No, it's so intriguing how you wrapped all the 250 years ago into present day, and everything kind of intertwines
I wasn't sure
back.
about it in the beginning, I was putting it together and so forth, because it's fairly, as you know, writing a
Hmm.
novel's
Yeah.
complex. And whether or not I could do it in a way where it actually blended rather than having two stories. Some editors read it and said, there's two stories here. They should be two books. And I was
Hmm.
I was pretty set against that. I really
Right.
wanted to find a way, and the coin helped me find the way.
Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a common denominator,
it is.
right?
Yeah, it is.
And that's it always helps you. So, what was the most challenging part of writing? Was it the dual timeline? Was it the character or world building? What do you think was the most difficult?
The most difficult was the development of the characters and how they evolved from when you're introduced to them in the very beginning to the very end, and that character arc. Everyone talks about the arc of the story. What
Hmm.
I learned writing this was the arc of the character, right? And typically in a thriller, there's something bad happens in the beginning, and then that protagonist has to run through walls, has to hurdle fences, obstacles
Yeah.
to get to the end. But in my case, I didn't realize this until I had Dawn, my editor. She's just, like I said, amazing. What's really important in the character arc is the emotional aspect. not necessarily the action aspect
Mm-hmm.
of moving forward.
All right.
The relationship that Paul has with his daughter Emma and how that starts, it's broken in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, it starts to improve. And I won't give it away, but you can
Yeah.
imagine at that time. Same thing with, and what I really enjoyed was Hassan, the villain, and
Mm-hmm.
his character arc. How he
Mm-hmm.
starts in one way thinking that he's doing the things that he's doing, running these cyber hacker groups,
Mm-hmm.
killing people and so forth, and why he's doing it. Then he finds out along the way that maybe it's not the right thing to do, or he's been betrayed. I'll just put it that way. So
Ethical dilemma.
exactly. So he's in a situation. So, the two are that it's that character arc that I found was very challenging. That's why, the revision phase took me a long time, but I think
Oh
hopefully that
yeah.
the readers find it was worth it. At least I did.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. So where can everybody get your book?
So it's on all book channels, all sales
Yeah.
channels, Amazon, so forth. But if you go to my website, which is firstname, lastname.com, so www.georgemehok.com. So that's George, Mehok, Mehok.com. And the book is on pre-order now, available for pre-order, and it
Mm-hmm.
comes out on November 12th. So that's just a
Oh
few
well, that's
days
next
away.
week.
That's right. So that's next week. Yeah. So I'm excited next week. And then the audiobook comes out on December 3rd. And the audiobook, I just received the final cut and it is incredible. So the
Oh
audiobook
yeah, I
comes
like
out
listening
December.
to the audiobooks. I'm gonna pick yours up.
Oh yeah, I'll get you a copy for sure.
I got some free
Yeah.
points. I'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll enjoy it. December 3rd.
I could see your book in booking a beer in December. I can already envision a booking a beer with your book.
Tell me about that beer that you had. You posted you
Yeah,
posted that beer tonight. I think it was this morning or last night.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Taj Mahal. It's an Indian lager, I guess. It's actually very good tasting beer. No aftertaste, not bitter.
Hmm.
I don't like beer with fruit or any crazy crap. I just like beer, and
Right. Yeah.
married to a German, so I got to abide by the whatever the
Right.
laws of purity are for beer
Yeah.
consumption. So yeah, and at first when I started doing booking a beer, it was just a picture.
Mm.
And my son, who's given me a lot of good advice, I hate to say, he's 27 years old, but he's given me a lot of great advice.
That's great.
Is hey Dad, do video, the book and the beer, and I go okay. And so I started doing a minute and a half, real short,
Mhm.
plug about a book. It doesn't have to be a new book. I did a book yesterday that's probably been out 10 years or so, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's great.
So it's a fantastic book. So yeah, and I'll try different beers. Like okay, I'll get one that maybe I don't never had it before, and
Uh-huh.
I'll do it. I mean, I know what to stay away from, but yeah,
That's great.
it's just a good way to. I like to help the community out because everybody's been so supportive of me that I like to help other authors in different format, different medias, and when you do stuff like this, if you plug your book every time somebody sees you, you're plugging your book, they'll tune you out.
Right.
So what happens is you got to plug other people. By you plugging other people are interested in
That's right.
you, and that's kind of a domino effect. So I've had a lot of fun with it. My wife, she does all my filming. I don't pay her,
Nice.
but she does all my filming for me.
Nice. Nice. No, you're right. I've met so many great people along the way over the last 6 years, whether it be people who are contributing to the book or like yourself. Yesterday I was on a history podcast and
Mm-hmm.
I just had this great discussion with Bernie was his name, and he, it was all about history, right? And we learned that as we're talking, he said, "Mehok, can you spell that last name?" And I spelled it Mehok. He said, "Well, my mother's grandfather, his name was Mehok, Mehik." So interesting, from southern Pennsylvania. He was
Oh
from
wow.
Slovakia originally.
Uh-huh.
And I went back and I looked at my grandfather's original spelling of the family name. And guess what? It's
Same.
Same. Can you believe that? I was like, I don't know
Man,
if they're related. I don't know if they're
you
related
need to go
yet.
on ancestry.com and you
I
might
know
be able to get your
it was,
cousin.
but I mean, you meet so many interesting
Yeah,
people, throughout this process,
yeah.
and you're
I
right.
met
It's
some
not about,
characters.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's no,
Yeah,
no, you're
you definitely
absolutely
got to
right.
promote yourself. I mean, you got the brand, the marketing aspect of it, uh, continuing marketing, snippets of information, or things like that. I mean, I do a lot around World War One.
Right.
I got a call. I talked to the guys at quartermaster, of the Honor Guard Society. I left the book at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Sergeant of the Guard. I interviewed a Sentinel the other day, so I left him a book. He came down, hey man, check this book out. So he read it. He goes, man,
Yeah.
fantastic. So they're going to start having it on their website for folks to buy. It's going to be at the Arlington National Cemetery bookstore or gift shop starting in January. So again, it's just
Well,
I'll plug.
what's great about your book is while it's historical fiction, it transports you in a way that a lot of books don't. It's not preaching what happened during World War I or giving you a granular. It's you're living the life of those characters.
Mhm.
What's the young French girl's name in the beginning of the book?
Camille.
That
Yeah.
she when she goes and well, she watches the American soldiers get killed,
Hmm.
and then she runs out to see what's happened, and
Hmm.
that's where she picks up the diary, right? and
Yeah. Yeah.
and you feel like I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know, how old was she? She was like 12 or
16 or so.
14,
Yeah.
6. Okay, 16.
14, 16.
So six, let's call
Young.
it 16. So what kind of strength, emotional, do you have to watch people get blown up, and then to go out on the battlefield? Obviously, there was no battle going on when she ran
Right.
out there, but
Right.
then she sees these men blown apart, and she finds the diary. I mean, come on, what kind of? And you open the book with that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that that's good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to make it powerful, and I am. So yeah, it was fun. It was an adventure writing it, and I felt like a calling. I can't explain it. I really can't. I don't know. I don't know. I read. And I go, did I write that? I mean, holy cow.
No, I know. You had a passion for it.
Yeah.
You have to, because it's too hard to write. There's not enough people aren't making money off it, right? In the
No.
no, in the grand scheme of things, neither am I, right? I'm doing it because it's. Someone asked me about that in one of the podcasts recently, and I was like, "You live once."
Yep.
I was, I'm going to try to share an entertaining story with people,
Yeah.
and I'm going to learn along the way. And if
Yeah.
something happens, it's great.
Yeah. I'm hoping one of my great grandkids or whatever. You know. Oh yeah, that's my great great grandpa wrote that book. You know. Or even my kids now, or somebody reads it, and they tell me that they love it. It makes you feel good because you want to be able to. They'll say you want to leave the world better than when you got it. So
Right.
you want to at least give something, back, especially back to folks. And you hit on something early in the conversation. You said entertaining, right?
Hmm.
A book has to be entertaining to be able for someone to finish it. I
That's
can
right.
start. I go to the library and start a book every hour and not ever finish it. It has to be able to grab you and be able for you to put you in that world or that person or that character for you to want to continue reading it until the end. And when you get to the end, you're like, okay, I need to see what else this person wrote. Is
When
there
you
anything else?
when you write, this happens to me, but I'm just curious if this happens to you. When you were writing 104 and you're starting a chapter, maybe you're halfway through or whatever, do you find yourself being personally transported and everything around you, it kind of dissolves and you're in that world? I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah,
Do you feel that?
yeah, I definitely was in the World War One and 104 because I immersed myself in that time period from reading. and research, and looking at pictures and photographs. And what I didn't do intentionally is I didn't read one letter or one diary entry from
Oh,
any
that's right. You
soldier in
told me
World War
that.
One because I wanted to make it my
Wow.
story, and I didn't want anybody to, oh, that sounds like it came out of my grandpa. Well, then he wouldn't be the unknown soldier, right?
Yeah, it would have been someone.
It would have been someone, and I don't know. I was talking to the Sentinel in D.C. a couple weeks ago, and I was saying, that soldier's family never had closure ever,
Mm.
right? But 1921, November 11th, 1921, the first memorialization of Armistice Day, we laid to rest this hero. And I
Mm.
said, the country had closure.
Wow.
That's, then you look at all the 430,000 graves, or however many are around Arlington, over 400,000.
Hmm.
And, just kind of reflect on that. But I said, yeah, the country had closure. And he's the only one buried under the sarcophagus. The other two are out front. The third, Vietnam, was exhumed here years ago, and he now is buried in Missouri. So there's a lot of
Tell me
interesting
about this.
things.
Tell me about the Sentinel.
So the guard, the
Hmm.
soldier, it's a 2-year tour, and they march. The army marches according to von Steuben, right? German general,
He's in my book.
Revolutionary War,
He's
Revolutionary
in my
War.
book.
There you
Oh yeah,
go. See,
he trains Jack.
yeah,
He trains
yeah,
Jack for his mission.
yeah. So they don't march like that, right? And they guard the tomb 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no matter what the weather. And it's like a calling for them. It's
How many
you
are
know,
there? Do you know?
I don't know how many there are
Do they
in the
rotate? I mean,
company.
are you on? What's your shift?
They right now they do an hour
One
because of the
hour.
winter. Normally it's a half hour in the summertime. They change the guard every half hour. Uh, they 21 steps. It's all very, very. You will
Hmm.
not ever see a more detailed inspection in your life in the army as you do watching the changing of the guard. But these are all young men, young women. Some may be in the army just a year, two, maybe, right?
Hmm.
And they've been selected or they volunteered for the duty, infantry, and that's their life, and it's a very proud tradition. I was in the army 20 years, and I saw one ex tomb guard in the army.
Hmm.
One,
Hmm. Wow.
that's it. And I was in the infantry division twice, three times. They're very, they're good folks, and it's just a very good. I recommend everybody, go and see, go to Arlington
Hmm.
National Cemetery, and then watch Changing the Guard. It'll give you a whole new perspective and why, why people fight. I tell folks instead, you say thank you to a veteran and everything. Ask them why. Why did you join? Right,
Hmm.
and you'll get a myriad of from I paid for college, or I was in trouble, or I want to learn something, or I couldn't find a job. But it all comes back to they love their country. They just don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely a great way for a young man or woman to
Yeah,
to grow. And
yeah,
my father was in the Air Force,
yeah. Mine
so
too.
he fought in or was deployed during the Korean War in
Okay.
Japan. And he said one of the hardest things that he had to do was to watch the Marines. He was a payroll master
Uh,
for the Air Force, and he had to pay the Marines as they came in, and
uh,
then as they were getting on the ships or aircraft to go to Korea
yeah.
and hit the beaches and everything. So he said it was very difficult for him
Oh yeah.
to do that. But he was in a situation why they joined. So he was the day before he was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
He and a friend enlisted so that they could choose the branch of service,
Oh yeah.
and he chose the Air Force.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was. He joined 51. Well, I just read around Korean War. 53 was Korean War. But yeah, Vietnam
Yeah,
and
same about
everything.
the same time frame. And then his brother was in World War I in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he Yeah, my father lived to 94. He just passed in February. And then
Okay,
his
but
brother lived to, I think, 92. And he passed about 8 years ago. But both veterans. Yeah.
wow.
So you're, man, it's a good way to, good role models that I had, I have to
Uh,
say, and
yep,
hard work and,
yep.
dedication to the country is good. And you don't, I'm not just saying that, right? So
No, I know. Yeah, no, I agree
You know,
100%.
some people just say it. It's like he grew up during the Great Depression, for gosh sakes. 31.
Yep.
He told me a story that he said, you don't even know how hard it was. No idea.
Yeah.
He said the only food we had, we would shoot a squirrel. We would then he and his brother, and they were given some bread. Yeah, they didn't have food.
Hmm.
His father worked in the coal mines in southern Ohio at the time in 31,
Yeah.
and they would cook they would cook the squirrel, drip the fat onto the bread, and then make a sandwich out of it. He said that's how that's how. There's no
Yep.
Arby's, there's no
No, no, no.
McDonald's.
I asked my grandma one time, she's lived through the Depression. I said, Grandma, I said, what did you eat? Right? She goes, pecans.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that was
yeah,
like,
off the tree.
right. That was like no hesitation. Pecans. Like, wow. They were migrant farmers, my parent, my aunt, my grandfather's parents. But they would go from Michigan down to Arkansas, pick strawberries and cotton, and you know,
Wow.
back in the day, that's how they survived.
Yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah,
what you got to do.
yeah.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yep. Well, George, it's been a pleasure. Let's see your cover again. Show that bad
Sure.
boy.
Going
Our
Dark,
folks.
November 12th, georgemehok.com or Amazon. Going Dark, George Mehok, and hopefully people enjoy it. And this is the first of a series, so I'm about 20% through book number two. Same type of theme.
Well, excellent, excellent.
Yeah,
Looking
yeah.
forward to that one too.
Cool.
Well, thanks,
Cool.
thanks, George, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Travis.
All right, bye bye.
You too.